It was not about the pasta. All right, talking about all things Vanderpump Rules, you know, this show that is huge. And I wanted to break down 10 wonderful Vanderpump Rules moments. Gonna do this in 2 parts, talking about 5 here and 5 on another episode. Just moments that we may have forgotten or we never forget. Vanderpump Rules, let's break it down with 10 amazing or shocking or sad moments. All right, taking it to season 3, Sheena's wedding. So it's not about Sheena because there's stuff we could talk about there too. That was a wonderful wedding, right? But we're going to talk about Kristen and James. The thing that made me laugh are a couple things actually. First of all, James, when he is arguing with Kristen and Kristen is kind of like, I'm over it, James has to stop in that moment and say, oh wait, I can't really argue with her because if I argue with her and I'm not with her, I'm not on the show anymore. And he literally pauses and says, well, you know what, Kristen? And then he gets into classic James mode. Now, here's the thing. You never necessarily want to see too many of these arguments or whatever, and you never make light of it. But when you think about Kristen, when you think about James, especially in that era, obviously everyone grows, but in that time, it's like the best of both worlds with the absurdity that if you're taking Kristen's side, you could see the absurdity of James. If you're taking James' side, you could see the absurdity of Kristen. And then to make matters worse, Kristen's, I think it's her trainer, was sitting there with the cigarette, very nonchalant, which obviously adds a threat level for James. The whole scene was a lot. It was a mess, but it makes for a great Vanderpump Rules moment. Okay, next. So we have Brittany and Jax getting married. The day you never thought you'd see, partially because Jax was always out there. He was in these streets, you know, but it did happen. And the funny thing about it is recalling that moment, we definitely remember that they got married. We definitely remember that it was in a castle and it was gorgeous and beautiful. And we definitely remember that Sheena was having fun. Sheena was having fun. But I barely remember the wedding itself. I think it was because the whole season, Jax, or Jason, there was just so much going on with him. So I am happy to see the light at the end of the tunnel, especially for Brittany, because you never knew if this was going to come through. And recalling this moment saying, oh my gosh, why don't I remember this? I remember all the other weddings from Vanderpump, but for some reason outside of the castle and Brittany being happy, I don't remember a lot of this wedding. And then I'm like, oh wait, Lance Bass, you know, friend of Lisa Vanderpump, Lance Bass was the officiant of the wedding. Lo and behold, this was a really great episode, but I can't seem to understand why you can't remember it right off the bat. I don't know what it is about Brittany and Jack's relationship that makes you sort of remember that they got married in a castle. But while my picture perfect memory remembers everything about this show, or a lot of things, I can't remember the vows. I can't remember a lot of it, but it still was a beautiful wedding. And we, of course, hope that they are happy and living the best life. Okay, to me, another classic moment has to be Stassi with her little attitude. You know, Stassi made the show. This was Stassi's 3rd reality show, so of course she knew what was going to be necessary, and it was the friend group, and it was Bravo. Like, all the pieces made sense for Stassi to be this good. But also, I'm a huge Sheena fan. I've always thought Sheena was very important to this show, and she's lovable, etc., etc., etc. But do Stassi and Sheena early on get along? No, absolutely they do not. And the thing that's funny to me is this moment where Lisa Vanderpump is welcoming Stassi, and there's even those, you know, welcome back Stassi type of moments, and Sheena has to kind of play the moments where it's like, oh gosh, I gotta go and, you know, serve them, you know, because she is still the waitress of the moment. And Sheena goes over there and she said, okay, Lisa, what do you need? And Lisa, stir in the pot. Lisa says, oh, you're not going to ask your other patron what she wants? So Stassi takes that moment and she says, I'm not sure what I've done to you, but I'll take a Pinot Grigio. And that is classic Vanderpump Rules. You know, say what you say, Stassi really always showed up. And what made that scene even better is Sheena giving the little double take. And I think she even served Lisa first and had some excuse like, your drink is coming. It was a lot of digging amongst each other. Stassi to Sheena and Sheena to Stassi, but without making it big. And I think on reality shows, sometimes you think it needs to be this big, to really like stick it to somebody. But sometimes the subtle, the real, I don't know what I've done to you, but I'll take a Pinot Grigio. To which in my mind, I'm thinking, well, is Sheena gonna spit in it? Sheena would never do that because Sheena is too sweet. But that was a great moment. Okay, so this is always the most confusing or difficult aspect of Vanderpump Rules because you never really know. You're like, is Tom Schwartz this kind, quirky, soft and sweet almost? Or is he just sort of showcasing that, but he's really like a rotten dude? You really can't tell sometimes. And why I say that is because I think of the moment that blonde Tequila Katie, she had Tom, they're going back and forth, and Tom says, I'm going to pour alcohol on her. One of the more humiliating, embarrassing moments of Vanderpump Rules, but it did give you a shocking moment for the show. And sure, does Tom Schwartz know that he did that? They're all drinking a bunch. It probably, it wasn't right, but as much fun as they're having and they're making a TV show, it wasn't wrong, I guess. But the real fun part of it, and of course, now in current times, the relationship and marriage is over. But I do think that they had good times. But some of the moments that made it hard were when Katie kind of made things bigger. I guess this is bigger than it had to be. Although maybe you are supposed to stay in support. So here's what had happened. They're all over there celebrating. It's supposed to be Stassi's moment. Sheena goes and takes a drink, which a lot of people seem to think that Sheena's not allowed to, quote unquote, steal their drinks. Sheena's like, I'm just trying to have a good time. But then that makes Katie go on a rampage, and she is mad. And she's like, Tom, you are supposed to be as mad as I am. And that really is a question. If you're dating somebody and they've got an issue, I do believe that you're supposed to have the issue with the person too. But at the same time, Katie, what did Sheena do that was that wrong? And then the whole scene was great because Stassi and Sheena don't even really get along. And so Sheena's like, you know what? I'm out of here. Anyways, it's fun. It's in Cabo. It is the peak of just these cast members really understanding and learning how to make great reality TV. And it has you thinking, is that Tom Schwartz as sweet as he actually intends and showcases to be? Or is he a jerk that would pour a drink on blonde Tequila Katie's head? And another thing, Katie always talks about not loving being blonde. Like that's like the era that she's like, I can't believe, that was the look of the day. Or is it because blonde, that era, represented when that had happened to her? I don't know. Either way, Katie is one of the more challenging watches. I know a lot of people don't really enjoy her on the show, but as time goes by, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with her next. And Vanderpump Rules isn't just made up of moments that are, Stassi getting at Kristen like, whap. Also, it's fun moments too. And one person that brings the fun is that darn Sheena. Sheena is lovable. She never proclaimed to be the greatest musician ever. Of course, she wanted to be an actress and she was doing the Disney stuff or whatever. And you saw her pop up on the hills. Like she wanted to be in the mix. But I don't know that she thought of singing as like, I'm the greatest vocalist ever. She just wanted to have fun. And the scene where she did Good as Gold, a song that we still listen to and love today, which I would want to say goes up there with one of the top Bravo Celebrity songs, along with like Countess Luann, Melissa Gorga. It's really one of the best ones. I guess you could say Tardy for the Party by Kim Zolciak is also good. But anyways, back to the lecture at hand. Sheena with Good as Gold. What I love about the scene is you got Katie with that just face, that just dissatisfied about everything, Katie. Katie, dissatisfied about everything, Maloney. And so she's making judgment. All the girls are making judgment. And my thought on that is, if you're not going to do anything, you really don't have a basis to judge. If you're there. Now, if you don't show up, okay, have your opinions. But if you go to watch the show and you aren't performing in any way, why are you going to rain on this person's parade? Now, if you're doing it constructive, that's different. Hey, Sheena, I think you could be better because this, and this. Katie worked a little bit in the music industry, or a lot, I'm not really sure. But Katie does know a thing or two. But when you're going just simply to hate, it's like, come on, Katie, let the girl have the gold. Sheena, good as gold. It's amazing on the bar. You know, the atmosphere and the vibe is right. And I think that was another fantastic Vanderpump Rules moment. All right, that wraps it up. For more Vanderpump Rules moments, check out the other episode. And be sure to do all the things like commenting, liking, and subscribing. But more importantly, patreon.com/RandomlyRJ Jr. for more Vanderpump Rules hot takes, opinions, questions.